See so many folks joining us for this virtual workshop tonight and learning about the 2025 regional plan. Really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy evenings right at dinner time to join us for this workshop. So as Ali mentioned, my name is Antoinette Meyer. I'm the planning director at SANDAG. And for tonight, you can advance the slide, Ali. We're going to go over who SANDAG is, what we do, what the regional plan is, why it's important, why you should care about it, the 2025 plan, the draft that is out currently for public comment. And I can't talk about every project or program in the regional plan because there are literally hundreds, but we'll highlight a few that we think might be of interest to the unincorporated communities. And then we'll talk about how you can provide public input, comment beyond this evening, and next steps for getting the plan approved. So if you want to move to the next slide, Ellie. Okay, so in a nutshell, SANDAG's the regional transportation planning agency. We're responsible for putting together this very important plan. It's one of our core requirements. But we don't just plan, we also are unique in that we build major transportation projects. So things like the Mid-Coast Trolley that extended the Blue Line from Old Town up to UCSD. It was a SANDAG project. We also partner with like Caltrans on major roadway projects like the I-15 express lanes. We don't just do the planning, but we build some of the projects. However, we don't operate. So MTS, the Metropolitan Transit Systems, is the transit operator, and North County Transit District for North County is the operator. Of course, Caltrans operates and maintains the state highway system. We're also not responsible for local streets and roads and county roads. So I've been doing a lot of outreach for the regional plan, and oftentimes people have questions about city or county roads. Thankfully, we have some folks from the county joining us. So if you do have those questions tonight, they're here. And Caltrans as well is joining us. But we really are focused on the state highway system, state routes, interstates. However, we do provide funding to local agencies through the Transnet, half-cent sales tax. We administer that program, and a portion of that goes to local governments for investing in their local streets and roads. So potholes, operations, maintenance, building new infrastructure, et cetera. One thing that a lot of people don't know about SANDAG is that we have a very robust environmental mitigation program. So over the years, we've acquired over 9,000 acres of sensitive land that we manage and monitor and maintain, and that we've rehabilitated. And that serves as mitigation for our major transportation projects. And then we provide a lot of resources. So programs like our Youth Opportunity Pass program that has made transit free for youth 18 and under. I mentioned the funding that we pass through to local agencies for their local streets and roads. And we have a number of grant programs for local agencies as well. Next slide. I think it's no surprise to probably anyone in this workshop that our region is very unique. We have mountains, ocean, suburban communities, urban communities, rural communities, state parks, national parks. We have the most Native American reservations in any county in the entire country. We have a lot of military bases. There's a lot of unique needs that the region has when it comes to transportation. And that's why there are so many projects in the regional plan. Go ahead, Ellie. And the agency, because we're regional, 18 cities in the county of San Diego, we partner up with a lot of different organizations and groups to do the work that we do. So we're governed by a board of directors that is made up of elected officials from the 18 cities and the county of San Diego. And we have a number of advisory members that serve on our board of directors as well. So transit operators, Caltrans, a representative from the Southern California Tribal Chairmen's Association, representative from Mexico. So it really is the one place where all of the different agencies and entities get together to solve regional problems and coordinate and collaborate around major regional projects. So what is the regional plan? The regional plan is one of SANDAG's most important responsibilities, and it's important because it's really required to get federal and state funding for transportation projects, and the majority of the funding that comes into the region for transportation is federal and state funding. So it's a plan that we call the blueprint for how the regional transportation system will grow and how the region will develop, and it looks out at least 20 years. Our plan goes out into to 2050. And we largely think of it as a transportation plan, which it is, but it covers a lot of really important topics like housing, meeting the housing needs for the region, the environment, air quality, climate. It's something that we're required to update every 4 years. We have to submit it to state and federal agencies to be approved. And there's a number of laws and requirements that we have to comply with. I'll talk about a handful of those in the next slide. But essentially, we have to use the latest data when we put together the plan. So the plan takes about 4 years to put together. So we're constantly working on when we finish one and we start another one. But we always start it with collecting a lot of travel data, updating our population growth forecast so that the plan is current. We also work with all of our partner agencies, the cities, the county, to make sure that their plans and their assumptions are considered as we put together the regional plan as well. The plan isn't just a list of transportation projects. There's also policies and there's programs, and we have to show how we can pay for everything in the plan. So it can't be a wish list. We have to demonstrate that there is a reasonable funding sources to cover all of the projects and programs in the plan. Go ahead. So I said we have a lot of laws and requirements that we have to comply with. We have to show how the plan improves equity and accessibility. We have to show how we're going to accommodate the housing needs of the region, and the state provides us with that number. We have to show how we will improve air quality. So the San Diego region doesn't have air quality that meets national standards right now. So we have to demonstrate how the plan won't worsen air quality and how it will make it better. We have to coordinate with local government agencies on their land use planning. And then probably the most difficult law and requirement to meet is a state one called Senate Bill 375, and that's focused on reducing greenhouse gas emissions by reducing vehicle miles traveled. So we have to show how the plan will accomplish that by 19% per capita per person by 2035. And that's a very difficult thing to do. So you'll notice in the plan that a lot of the projects in the early years of the plan are really focused on providing people with more transportation choices and reducing the greenhouse gas emissions. To get to this point, we've done a lot of outreach and we have received a lot of comments. We had an online tool where people could put comments on a map and we did in-person workshops. We've done virtual workshops. We've gone out to different groups and made presentations. Just this week, I was in some of the unincorporated community planning groups. I went to Valley Center and went to Hamul. We did workshops like that all around the region. We've worked very closely with our board of directors to understand their priorities so that we could come up with this draft regional plan. And on the next slide, you'll see a map that you won't really be able to the feedback themes before we get to the map. So we heard a lot, there thousands and thousands of comments, and we can't share them all, but they generally fall into these categories. So nobody likes traffic. Everyone wants roads improved, but people have a lot of different ideas about how we should do that. Some folks want us to expand roadways. Other folks really don't want us to expand roadways. They want us to provide more transit and other transportation options. Speaking of transit, that's something that we hear a lot about, that it needs to be faster, it needs to be more frequent, it needs to go to more places. School connections, we hear that, because there's not school bus service everywhere in the region, that public transit should really go to all of the schools. Improving rural transportation is something we've heard a lot about, having more mobility options and ensuring that roadways in our rural communities are safe. Microtransit or neighborhood shuttles is something that has become very popular and we're getting a lot of requests for. We also hear a lot about making walking and biking safer and having better infrastructure for communities to walk and bike safely. Go ahead. Okay, now the map. So you're not going to be able to make any sense out of this map. This is a screenshot of an online mapping tool that you can use. You can click on any dot or line or blob on the map and get a lot of information about the project. But essentially, there's improvements for all of our major roadways and our rural state routes. And the rural communities were really focused on safety and making sure that the intersections are improved and curves are straightened and shoulders are widened so that the roadways are safer for the communities. We also have a lot of community shuttle services. So those kind of yellow blobs that you see all around on the map are areas where we're proposing circulators and community shuttle services. There's a lot of transit in the plan, especially for long distance commutes. So we have a new transit line coming from Temecula down to Escondido and San Marcos, one on the 67 that we just started planning as well, and 35 total in the plan bus rapid transit routes. And we can go into the next slide that will highlight some of the projects, or actually first policies and programs. So like I mentioned, the plan isn't just projects. And so things that you don't see on the map are programs like our Youth Opportunity Pass program, which provides, free transit to youth 18 and under. Our van pool program, which helps long distance commuters that don't have good access to transit. Our habitat programs that I mentioned earlier, and even digital infrastructure. So we're working with partners to try to expand broadband infrastructure into communities that don't have good access today. So those are just some examples. Okay, now we'll dig into a handful of projects. Obviously not everything, but we'll make sure you have access to that mapping tool. So you can explore the projects after this meeting. And then of course, you'll have plenty of opportunity to talk to staff about projects in just a few minutes. Okay, highway improvements I mentioned are really focused on safety, so curve straightening, shoulder widening, intersection improvements on a lot of the rural state routes, 76, 79, 67, and 94, a connector at Highway 94 and Highway 125, interchange improvement on the I-8 at Willows Road, and the expansion of the managed lanes on the I-15 from Highway 78 to the county line. In terms of transit improvements, there are, I mentioned 35 rapid routes. About 6 of those routes touch unincorporated communities, from the route that we just started planning that goes from Ramona through Poway. We have the route that I mentioned that will connect Temecula. We have a lot of folks that live in Riverside and commute down to San Marcos for work or school. And other routes throughout East County, El Cajon, Spring Valley, and Otay. The neighborhood shuttles service areas, there's 6 that are currently proposed in unincorporated areas. I know Ramona is just getting ready to launch a shuttle service. There's one proposed in Fallbrook that NCTD will be launching soon. Borrego Springs has a shuttle, Alpine, Spring Valley, and Lakeside. Okay, how can you weigh in? There's a variety of ways to provide comments, and in a minute we'll show a slide that has email address and links to the website. But there's also a public hearing this Friday with our transportation committee. That's 9 o'clock, and you don't have to be here in person. You can call into that if you'd like to make a public comment there. The public comment period closes on Friday. There'll be another public comment period, though, actually, because we have to do an environmental impact report for the regional plan, and that identifies all the environmental impacts and mitigation measures, and that'll be out for public comments later this summer, probably in September, for a 45-day public comment period. But ultimately, we need our board to adopt a final plan in December. So once the public comment period closes this Friday, we'll be working on making any changes that we need to make to the plan so that we can bring a final version of it back to our board in December to adopt and allow us to submit to the federal and state agencies that approve it. And here is the information on how to make comments on our website, how to submit email. You can even call and leave a message. we'll make sure that you have this information after the workshop today, so you don't have to write anything down right at this moment.